coin lovers and history buffs. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got something truly exciting for you, rare and super valuable Washington quarters that could make you thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. Trust me, you don't want to miss these jaw-dropping finds. Let's dive in. Before we dive into the specifics of these rare Washington quarters, let's take a quick look at the history of the coin. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, this coin quickly became one of the most beloved pieces of American currency. Over the decades, the design has remained largely unchanged, a striking profile of George Washington on the front and an eagle in flight on the reverse. But over the years, certain years and minting errors have made specific Washington quarters incredibly rare and worth a small fortune. First up, let's talk about the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark. Now, most quarters from 1967 would carry a mint mark either from the Philadelphia or Denver mints. However, an interesting error occurred that year. Some 1967 quarters were produced without a mint mark. This rare mistake, where the mint mark was accidentally left off, has turned this coin into a collector's dream. Typically, a mint mark indicates where the coin was struck. The Philadelphia Mint usually didn't use a mint mark, while the Denver Mint used a D mint mark. But in 1967, a number of quarters were minted in Philadelphia without any mint mark at all. The absence of the mint mark, combined with the year's production quirks, makes these coins incredibly rare today. The rarity of this particular 1967 quarter makes it highly desirable for coin collectors. In fact, one such coin, graded in nearly perfect condition, was sold at auction for a staggering $6,250. That's a huge jump from its original face value of just 25 cents. This is an amazing example of how an error coin can skyrocket in value when the conditions and rarity align. Collectors and investors alike are always on the lookout for coins with minting errors, and this 1967 Washington quarter is one of the best examples of how a seemingly minor mistake can lead to significant value. The 1967 quarters without a mint mark are relatively few in number, and finding one in pristine condition, like the one that fetched over $6,000, makes it an extraordinary piece to own. Why is this coin so valuable? It's because of how few of these mintless quarters were produced, combined with how well they have been preserved over the years. While most coins lose their sharp details as they circulate, a nearly flawless coin from 1967 is considered a rare gem. If you happen to come across one of these 1967 Washington quarters, make sure to have it evaluated by a professional appraiser. It could turn out to be worth much more than you expect. So, even though a 1967 Washington quarter originally was just another coin in circulation, the lack of a mint mark has given it a fascinating backstory and made it a top contender for high-value coin collectors. Whether you're just starting your coin collection or you've been at it for years, spotting this particular quarter could lead to quite a find. Next, let's talk about the 1970 D mint mark Washington quarter. Now, you might be wondering, how could a quarter from 1970 possibly be worth that much? It's a good question, considering that most people wouldn't think of a coin from the 1970s as a high-value collector's item. But the value of the 1970 D Washington quarter has to do with its rarity and unique history. During the 1970s, the U.S. Mint was facing some production issues. The quality of coin production started to decline, leading to many coins being struck in lower quality or with noticeable errors. A lot of these coins weren't properly minted, leading to a fair number of them being lost or discarded. As a result, fewer coins from that period, especially the 1970s, survived in great condition. The 1970 D mint mark Washington quarter is a notable example of this trend. While it was produced in relatively normal quantities, the coin's rarity comes from the limited number that was struck in exceptional condition, and from the few examples that managed to survive unscathed over the years. The 1970 D quarter, particularly those in higher grades, became increasingly sought after by collectors. The combination of lower production quality and the increasing interest in preserving these coins for future generations has made them much more valuable than one might expect for a quarter from that time. One of the most jaw-dropping sales of a 1970 D mint mark Washington quarter happened in June of 2024. A single quarter, in pristine condition, was sold at auction for a mind-blowing $40,000. Yes, that's right, $40,000 for a coin that was originally worth just 25 cents. This astronomical price reflects just how rare and desirable this particular quarter has become among collectors. What makes this even more fascinating is that quarters like this weren't initially seen as anything special when they were minted. It wasn't until collectors started to notice how rare and valuable they were that their prices began to rise. The high value of this coin comes from its condition and rarity, but also from the specific minting issues that occurred in the 1970s. Some 1970D quarters were struck with imperfections, which, over time, made the better examples even more valuable. Collectors know that finding a coin like this in excellent condition is a rare treat, and that's exactly why it fetched such an impressive price in the 2024 auction. What's even more surprising is that, when it was first minted, this quarter was no different from any other circulating coin. But as time went on and fewer of these coins remained in good condition, their value shot up. In fact, it's not just the 1970D Washington quarter that's sought after. The entire series of Washington quarters from the late 1960s through the 1970s has seen a rise in popularity among collectors. However, the 1970D stands out for its rarity and, of course, its spectacular auction price. So, the next time you come across a 1970D Washington quarter, remember that it could be worth much more than its face value of 25 cents. And if it's in excellent condition or has any unique qualities, it might just be time to take it to an expert for evaluation. You never know, you could have a $40,000 coin sitting in your collection. The 1980p mint mark Washington quarter is another fascinating example of a coin that has garnered significant value over the years. Now, at first glance, a quarter from 1980 might not seem like something to get excited about. After all, it's not exactly ancient, and most 1980 quarters are pretty standard. But here's where things get interesting. The quarters minted in Philadelphia with this P mint mark are actually quite rare and have proven to be worth much more than their face value of 25 cents. At first, you might wonder why a quarter from the 1980s would be considered valuable, especially given how common it seems. The answer lies in its scarcity. The 1980p mint mark quarter was minted in Philadelphia, and that mint is known for producing fewer coins compared to others, such as the Denver Mint. While most coins from the 1980s circulated heavily and were eventually worn down, the ones that remained in pristine condition have become rare and highly sought after. Over time, the 1980p mint mark Washington quarter has grown in value due to the fact that it's difficult to find one in great shape. When coins from the 1980s were first released, they were used in everyday transactions, and naturally, many of them became worn, scratched, or damaged. But those that were kept in excellent condition or even in mint state have become increasingly valuable. Coin collectors and investors know that the best way to maximize the value of a coin is to find one that has been preserved with minimal wear, and the 1980p mint mark quarter checks that box. A well-preserved 1980p Washington quarter, especially one that is graded highly, could be valued up to $10,000 today. Yes, you hear that correctly, up to $10,000 for a coin that was originally worth just 25 cents. It's hard to imagine how a coin from the relatively recent 1980s could achieve such a high value, but the key is the rarity of finding one in top condition. Over time, this quarter has become a prized piece for collectors who are eager to add it to their collections, and the demand for high-quality examples has driven the price up significantly. The value of the 1980p mint mark Washington quarter is a perfect example of how rarity and condition can drive a coin's worth. As with other rare coins, the fewer examples there are of a particular coin in pristine condition, the more valuable it becomes. And in the case of the 1980p quarter, finding one in excellent condition is quite the challenge. So, if you happen to have a 1980p mint mark Washington quarter tucked away in your collection, it might be time to take a closer look. Coins that have been carefully stored or well preserved are often the ones that end up becoming highly sought after. If yours is in great shape, it could very well be worth more than you ever expected. And who knows? You might have a $10,000 quarter hiding in your pocket. Moving on, let's talk about the 1983p mint mark Washington quarter, particularly one in the MS-65 grade. If you're not familiar with the term MS, it stands for mint state, which means the coin is in excellent condition with minimal wear and tear. Coins that receive this grade are considered to have been preserved in near-perfect condition since they were minted. Now, what's truly remarkable about the 1983 P quarter is that one graded MS65 was sold at auction in 2014 for an astounding $15,863. Yes, nearly $16,000 for a coin that was originally worth just 25 cents. So, why is this coin so valuable? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and the fact that not many of these coins survived in such pristine condition. The 1983 P Mint Mark quarter was minted in large numbers, so on the surface, it might seem like it wouldn't be that valuable. But the problem with coins from this era is that most of them were heavily circulated. As a result, many of the 1983 quarters became worn, scratched, or damaged, and only a small number remained in perfect or near-perfect condition. The 1983 P quarter wasn't considered anything special when it was first released. It was just another coin in circulation, used in everyday transactions. However, over the years, the rarity of finding a 1983 P quarter in mint state has made it incredibly desirable to collectors. The higher the grade, like MS65, the more valuable the coin becomes. With the MS65 example of the 1983 P quarter fetching nearly $16,000 at auction, it's clear that coins from this era can still carry significant value, but only if they're in pristine condition. In fact, MS65 is a top-tier grade for coins, and only the best preserved examples make it to this level. To put it into perspective, the coin needs to have nearly perfect details, sharp strikes, and little to no imperfections visible to the naked eye. Achieving this level of preservation is extremely rare, which is why MS65 coins are so highly sought after. The 1983 P quarter, with its relatively high mintage, should have been just another ordinary coin. However, its scarcity in mint state condition has driven collectors to pay top dollar for the best examples. This is a great example of how, in the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. Even coins that were produced in high quantities can become extremely valuable if they are found in excellent condition. The 1983 P Mint Mark quarter stands out as a prime example of this principle. When you add in the historical factor, the fact that it's from the early 1980s, and the rarity of finding one in perfect condition, it's no surprise that collectors are willing to pay significant amounts for an MS65 example. Last, but certainly not least, let's talk about the 1994 D Washington quarter. At first glance, a coin from the 1990s might not seem like something that could be worth a lot, especially when you think about how relatively recent it is. But here's the thing, when it comes to rare coins, even those from just a few decades ago, condition is everything. In fact, a 1994 D Washington quarter in excellent condition was sold at auction for an impressive $1,650, a remarkable amount for a coin that was minted not too long ago. So, what makes the 1994 D quarter so valuable? The key to its worth lies in its excellent preservation and the fact that it's a well-made, error-free coin. When coins are minted, they go through a process where they can be struck with imperfections, scratches, or other issues. Some coins from the 1990s, for example, didn't survive in great shape due to how heavily they were circulated. So, a 1994 D quarter that has survived for decades without any noticeable imperfections is considered quite rare. As you might imagine, collectors are always on the lookout for coins that are in pristine condition. For example, if a coin from the 1990s looks as if it was freshly minted, free from wear and tear, it instantly becomes much more valuable. A 1994 D quarter that's free of scratches, dings, or other flaws is like finding a hidden gem. These coins, often referred to as uncirculated or gem quality, are highly sought after because they've retained their original sharpness and detail. The 1994 D quarter was minted in large numbers, which is why you might think it wouldn't be particularly valuable. But finding one that's in excellent condition is much harder than it sounds. In fact, most of these coins were used in daily transactions and became worn down over time. As a result, a well-preserved 1994 D quarter is much more rare than it may appear at first. The example that sold for $1,650 is an extreme case, but it illustrates just how much collectors are willing to pay for a coin from the 1990s that is in perfect shape. The market for these coins is driven by the rarity of finding them in mint condition, and when a high-quality example comes along, it can attract serious bids at auction. The 1994 D quarter is a perfect example of how even relatively modern coins can fetch a premium if they are in exceptional condition. For anyone who collects coins or is interested in coin investing, the 1994 D Washington quarter is a reminder of how important condition can be when determining a coin's value. Even coins from just a few decades ago can become highly valuable if they've been carefully preserved. So, the next time you find a 1994 D quarter in your change, take a closer look. You might be holding a valuable piece of history. So there you have it, folks, the top 5 most expensive and ultra-rare Washington quarters worth big money. These coins have made history not just because of the figures they represent, but also because of their rarity and the fascinating minting errors that have occurred over the years. If you've enjoyed learning about these rare quarters, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more coin collecting tips, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Who knows, maybe the next big find will be in your pocket. Until next time, happy collecting!